Imagine, just for a second, the faintest whisper of light, almost like catching your breath, or dancing across all those tiny facets of diamonds. And then there's this softer gleam, that gentle pearl-like glow that seems to hold its own quiet light.
It's a beautiful image.
But we're not just talking about pretty things here, are we? Think of them more like solid, glittering threads woven right into the fabric of history.
Yeah, tangible links. You can almost feel the connection.
Absolutely. Royal jewelry, it has this amazing dual thing going on.
It really does.
On one hand, yes, the sheer beauty, the artistry, the value.
Of course, the immediate impact.
But then you dig just a little bit deeper and you start finding these layers. Personal stories, powerful symbols.
And reflections of the time, a mirror to the era they were worn in.
Exactly. And today, you and I are going to trace the journey of just one pair of earrings. A really extraordinary journey. Picture them, if you will, adorning queens across generations, being there silently at these pivotal moments in British history.
Right.
What stories could they tell? You know, if only they could talk. What whispers of the past might shimmer alongside the diamonds?
It's that idea, isn't it? That these aren't just static objects. They accumulate meaning. They witness history.
Yes.
That's what makes them so incredibly captivating. Every person who wore them, every big event, it adds another layer.
Another facet to their story, giving them this resonance that's, well, way beyond just how beautiful they look.
Totally beyond.
So for this deep dive, we're zooming in on one specific pair. The Queen Mother's diamond and pearl cluster earrings.
Ah, yes. A truly iconic pair.
And to really get their story, we're leaning heavily on the work of royal jewelry specialist Leslie Field. Her research is just invaluable here.
Absolutely. Leslie Field's work is like the key. It unlocks the context, the personal meaning behind these jewels.
She connects the dots, doesn't she? Between the pieces, the events, and the amazing women who wore them.
She really does. Meticulously.
So our mission today isn't just about admiring the sparkle, although there's plenty of that.
There certainly is.
We want to understand why these earrings matter. What big moments in the monarchy are they tied to?
And what do they tell us about the women themselves? The powerful figures who chose them.
Right. It's amazing how following just one piece of jewelry can open up this unique window onto history. You find some really surprising details along the way.
You absolutely do. It's a fascinating way to approach history.
Okay, so let's really start unpacking this.
Yeah.
Where does the story begin? It starts with a pretty spectacular party, right? A golden jubilee.
It does indeed. Bang on. The genesis, the very beginning of these earrings, is tied directly to Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee. We're talking 1888.
50 years on the throne. I mean, that's huge.
Monumental, a massive milestone. It was this powerful statement, really, about the stability, the sheer reach of the British Empire under her rule.
And to mark it, this incredible necklace was commissioned and given to her. The Golden Jubilee necklace.
That's the one.
And this wasn't just any necklace, was it? It was grand.
Yeah.
Symbolic, like her reign made solid.
Precisely. A tangible representation of that long rule, her position on the world stage. It was a major piece.
And crucially for our story today, the earrings we're focusing on were made specifically to go with it.
Yes. They were designed as part of a set, a suite, meant to complement the necklace, amplify its impact.
So let's try and picture those original earrings. Looking back at photos from the late 1800s, what did they look like initially?
Okay, so the early photos show a design that's, well, very elegant, very much of its time, late Victorian.
Right.
The heart of it was a beautiful pearl, luminous, classic, chosen for that soft sheen, you know. Around that pearl, a cluster of diamonds, adding sparkle, brilliance, a nice contrast.
Okay.
And then there were extra diamond bits too, added on to give them more presence, more sparkle overall.
More diamonds. So quite elaborate originally.
Definitely. The diamonds in the cluster were probably old mine cuts popular then. They give off that warmer, almost candlelit sparkle, which would have looked amazing against the pearl.
And you mentioned a design link to the big necklace, the quatrefoil motif. What exactly is that and why was it important?
The quatrefoil. Okay, so it's basically a shape with 4 lobes. Think like a 4-leaf clover, but more stylized, often made with overlapping curves.
Got it.
It was a really key design element in the Golden Jubilee necklace, and these earrings were deliberately made to echo that pattern. It tied them together visually.
But it wasn't just about looks, was it? You said it had symbolism.
Exactly. The quatrefoil has a really rich rich history, used a lot in royal and religious contexts. It's often linked to ideas like hope, good luck, eternity, even the divine.
Wow.
So putting it in these pieces wasn't just decoration, it loaded them with this extra layer of meaning, connecting them to established symbols of power, maybe even divine blessing.
It's fascinating how even the patterns had these like hidden codes. The level of thought that went into these commissions is just something else.
It really is. Every detail often carried deliberate weight.
Okay, so we have this magnificent necklace, these intricate earrings, born from this huge celebration. But then the story takes a little turn, doesn't it? A few years later.
Yes, that's right. Things change slightly.
The earrings look a bit different in later photos.
They do. If you look at photos from the 1890s, say around 1897, you can see a subtle change, a definite alteration.
What changed?
It looks like those extra diamond elements, the ones beyond the main cluster around the pearl, seem to be gone. The earrings look a bit simpler, more streamlined, maybe.
Okay, so why? Why the change? Any idea what prompted that? Was it just fashion or something else?
Well, the exact why is still a bit speculative, as Leslie Field points out too. We don't have a definitive note saying I changed them because.
Right. Educated guesses then.
Pretty much. One good possibility is simply Queen Victoria's taste changing in her later years. Maybe she preferred something a bit more restrained, less elaborate as she got older.
That makes sense. Personal style evolves.
Or it could have been practical. Maybe the original setting wasn't quite right, or she wanted something easier or more comfortable to wear.
Or even just adapting to fashion trends, maybe.
That's possible too. Jewelry did get altered back then to keep up with styles or just for repairs, so could be any of those things, really.
So we don't know for sure if it was personal taste or practicality. But the key thing is, this change didn't lessen their importance, did it?
Not at all. Their link to the golden Jubilee necklace, that historical weight, that stayed put.
The core design, the pearl, and the diamond cluster, that remained.
Exactly. The visual connection was still there. And Queen Victoria then did something really crucial to make sure both the necklace and these earrings would stick around for the long haul.
Ah, yes, this is the big one. Designating them as heirlooms of the crown. That sounds very official, very important.
It was incredibly significant, a pivotal decision.
What did that actually mean, legally or practically? Why was it so important?
By making them heirlooms of the crown, officially, Queen Victoria basically locked them into the royal family's future, forever.
Locked them in.
Yeah, it wasn't just her saying, keep these safe. It had legal force. It meant they couldn't be sold off or given away privately by whoever inherited them.
Right, not personal property in the normal sense anymore.
Exactly. They became legally tied to the office of the monarch, passed down from sovereign to sovereign. It turned them from her possessions into enduring symbols of the crown itself.
Wow. Part of the nation's heritage, almost.
Pretty much. Securing their place, making sure future queens could wear them. It was a very forward-thinking move.
So they became more than just beautiful things. They became like tangible emblems of continuity, physical links between monarchs.
That's a perfect way to put it. Emblems of continuity, ensuring their story would keep going.
And it did keep going, didn't it? We see them pop up again in the next generation.
We do. They became these visual markers of the monarchy's enduring legacy, connecting each ruler to the ones before. And then, yeah, early 20th century, they pass on.
To Queen Mary, right, King George V's wife. We have photos of her wearing the necklace and the earrings, the slightly modified ones.
Yes, absolutely. Photographic proof. It shows the system working, these heirlooms passing down as intended.
And Queen Mary, she had quite a reputation, didn't she? Very regal, very dedicated to duty.
Oh, very much so. Known for her unwavering sense of royal duty, her impeccable style. Wearing these pieces was completely in line with her role, her understanding of tradition.
So her wearing them wasn't just showing off nice jewels.
No, it reinforced their status. It continued the legacy Victoria had started. It was a visual confirmation. These are important royal heirlooms.
These photos really track the journey, don't they? From one powerful queen to the next, each adding their own chapter.
They really do. A clear visual line of succession for the jewels themselves.
And then, after King George VI came to the throne, the jewelry passed to his wife, the woman we remember so well as the Queen Mother.
Yes. And this is where these earrings in particular seem to find their perhaps most famous wearer. They become really strongly associated with her.
That's what I was thinking. They almost become her earrings in the public mind, didn't they?
That's a really good way to put it. During her time as Queen Consort and then for decades as Queen Mother, they were almost constantly seen on her.
Really?
Yeah.
Public events, private photos.
Both. She wore them with remarkable frequency. As Leslie Field notes, they really did become a signature piece in her, frankly, enormous jewelry collection.
So their frequent appearance cemented them not just as heirlooms, but as part of her identity somehow.
Exactly, tied to her personal style, her public image.
And thinking about the time she was wearing them, especially during World War II, that adds another layer, doesn't it? It wasn't just about fashion then.
Absolutely not. The historical context is crucial here. Think about the war years, incredibly tough, uncertain times. The king and queen, her included, their steadfastness was so important for morale. Her consistently wearing these familiar earrings amidst all that chaos.
It sent a message.
A subtle one, perhaps, but powerful. A symbol of continuity, of strength, of resilience. Contemporary accounts mention this, her unwavering presence, mirrored in wearing these familiar heirlooms, offered reassurance.
Like a visual anchor. The crown endures.
Precisely. In that context, these little jewels carried enormous symbolic weight, far beyond their sparkle.
So by choosing them again and again, she was doing more than just accessorizing. She was embodying the royal family's strength during a critical time.
Yes, honoring the past, but also actively shaping the present narrative, using these symbols effectively.
And in doing so, she really cemented her own place in that long royal story.
She absolutely did. She wasn't just a caretaker of these heirlooms. She added significantly to their story, deepened their meaning through her own life and times.
Okay, so fast forward. King George VI sadly passes away in 1952. What happens to the earrings then? There's another interesting turn.
There is a really quite touching moment, actually. The new queen, Queen Elizabeth, our late queen, made a very thoughtful decision.
What was that?
She allowed her mother, the queen mother, to keep wearing these earrings and other important heirlooms too.
That is generous, especially as they were heirlooms of the crown, technically belonging to the monarch.
Exactly. It showed not just incredible generosity, but also, I think, a deep understanding of how much these pieces meant to her mother.
The emotional connection.
Yes, especially their link to her late husband, King George VI. These earrings were a tangible connection to him, to their shared past. It was a recognition of that deep personal bond.
And so the Queen Mother kept wearing them for how long? Decades, right?
Nearly 5 decades. They remained a key part of her collection. We saw her wearing them at countless state banquets, garden parties, family events.
Constantly reinforcing that link between past and present.
Right. Her wearing them was this visible thread of continuity, bridging different eras of the monarchy, a familiar, comforting sight for many.
And then, eventually, after the Queen Mother's very long life ended in 2002,
the cycle came around again. The earrings returned to Queen Elizabeth II, back into the main royal collection.
So their journey, in that sense, came full circle, or at least completed another major loop.
It really did. It's quite something to think about. Queen Victoria commissions them. They cast a Queen Mary, then become synonymous with the Queen Mother, and finally return to Queen Elizabeth.
3 generations of incredibly influential queens, each leaving their mark on these jewels.
And through that whole journey across all those years, they really cemented their status, didn't they? As this enduring symbol of the crown's strength, its continuity.
Each woman adding her own story, her own context.
Exactly. They're not just beautiful objects. They're like living artifacts, carrying the imprint of history and the women who shaped it.
Absolutely. When you look at them now, their legacy is so much more than just the diamonds and pearls, isn't it?
Oh, completely. They've been these silent, glittering witnesses to so much history, pivotal moments, huge changes, immense challenges.
And through it all, they represent that resilience, that adaptability of the monarchy.
They really do, a testament to time, carrying echoes of the past and the spirit of those powerful queens who wore them.
And now, continuing their journey within the royal collection, they remain this potent symbol. Strength, continuity, but also those deeply personal stories behind the crown.
Beautifully put.
So when you boil it all down, these quite delicate-looking diamond and pearl earrings give us this incredibly vivid, surprisingly personal way to look at over a century of British royal history. They connect us not just to the big historical events, but to the individual lives, the legacies of these really remarkable queens.
Precisely. They're a fantastic reminder that even small, beautiful objects can carry immense historical weight, immense symbolic meaning. They can tell such rich, lasting stories.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? And maybe on that note, here's something for you, our listener, to ponder. How many other seemingly ordinary, maybe overlooked objects around us might also be silent witnesses? Witnesses to big events, small moments, personal histories, public histories, just waiting for their own stories to be noticed, to be uncovered.
It definitely gives you pause for thought. What stories are hiding in plain sight?